What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Rican Brothers Raidernation podcast. I'm your host, Nazo. Got my brother Anthony in the building. Say what's up.
What up?
So, man, I mean, what a week. Just what a week. With all the news coming down from Gruden and his resignation being given, and just the gut-wrenching blow it is just to our organization finding out, just what Gruden was really talking about in all those emails. Because, it had come out before the Bears game, and you could tell that they didn't play well in the Bears game. I know that the players are going to tell you otherwise, that they were, good to go and everything, but it affects people. It's human nature, right? So what's your knee-jerk reaction to this? And I'll give you mine afterwards, and then we'll kind of dive into it a little bit more, just kind of the things I've looked at and the things I've observed, and I'll ask you what you've observed. So what's your knee-jerk reaction to it all?
I mean, it's a lot to take in regardless. I mean, I feel like the media is painting a picture that we are supposed to view. I think that there's a whole lot more to digest than what's actually out there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really do think that this is one of those situations where it's a wait and see thing. I think Jon Gruden is the first pillar of many to fall. If I'm in the Gruden camp, I'm trying to countersue for defamation of character. And I mean, other than that, I mean, let's also look into the fact of how it's going to take its toll on the team and the distraction that now brings about to the full organization. I think that's why you haven't seen ownership make any statements of it. Yeah. I think that's why you've seen very few players make any comments of it. Mm-hmm. And really only the people who have been so outlandishly loud spoken and so critical are the ones who have morning shows, afternoon shows, and those who are based off ratings from large corporations and companies that, like I said, they're trying to drive an agenda. That's what I immediately think. Now, do I condone any of his actions? No, I don't. I think that that there was a distraction, although there's a piece that you're going to get into, I'm sure, in a little bit, where one of the players basically stated that it did not affect their sight of the game. But I mean, anybody who's anybody is gonna be distracted from all this media scrutiny and everything that's been going on around the organization for the last week to 10 days.
Yeah, just to put an official feeling on it, because I know that you kind of said a lot, but you didn't really give a direct answer. I'll ask you because you're my brother, but yeah, and I know what your answer is, but do you agree with the things that Gruden said?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I mean,
I just want the viewers to know, because they don't know you like I do. So it could have came off as you just didn't want to answer it, but I know that you don't agree with it.
No. Yeah. I mean, I think that everything that was said was terrible. I mean, all the context of the emails and stuff
it's crazy, man. It hurts me because I liked Gruden. Because of his intensity and just what he gets out of players. But at the end of the day, I'm disappointed because, man, it's fucked up, the shit he said. It's really fucked up. And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an angelic being who's up here on my high horse and I've never said anything out of context and insensitive, because I know I have, and I know everyone has at one time or another in their life. He kind of shotgun blasted multiple things, and he has a lot of growing to do, and he has a lot of open-mindedness to explore, because he has a very ancient, archaic, closed-minded view of the way the world needs to be now, as opposed to how it was kind of when he was coming up, and I can't really speak to the man he is because I don't know him personally, but based on the things he said, he has a lot of soul searching to do just to correct some of those views that he has, just with especially the way the world's going now. And it's taken me some time just to be more open to certain things. I'm not really going to discuss details because there's certain things, in my personal life that I've had to become more sensitive to and more open-minded to. And it's never been a racial thing for me. I think it's like I've never had any issues as far as like racial stuff. I think it's more like just like the homosexuality and stuff like that, and the stuff towards women that he said. That's like, bro, you got to grow up. Like,
Yeah.
you got to get with the times, man. And it's not like, old school ways of how men and women were viewed, and how, the homosexual community were viewed back in the very, very beginning, when there was nobody who really talked about anything. It's more of an open conversation, and we just got to be sensitive and just more open-minded to the things. And I know cancel culture is a big thing that's been getting brought up about this. I think they may have a hand in it, but I think there's a much, much bigger picture here. And that's something that I kind of want to talk to you about. I know single-handedly, Jon Gruden is not the only guilty party.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
There
not,
is
man.
650,000 emails, and you're pulling, let's just say 1,000 of them were Gruden's, right? Where's the other 649,000 of them? And like you and I said, because we both don't agree with what was said, not only do we think it's idiotic, it's very archaic in that thinking, and it's very closed-minded. And it's not very accepting, especially in the space that you're in the NFL. 70% of the league is Black, African-American folks. And I don't even like to call, Black folks African-American folks, because I feel like they're Black Americans, because African-American would insinuate they came here from Africa, which most folks,
Correct.
are born in America. So, and that's just my viewpoint. You can go look up the history on the two words African-American. They come from Leo Africanus and Amerigo Vespucci put together. Black people are no longer property. That's way out the door, and we're removed way out from that. So I just don't like to, refer to Black folks as that. That's just my own personal viewpoint. But with all the emails, like, we know the racial undertones with the whole DeMaurice Smith stuff, right? And he can flip it however he wants, like, bro, you got caught like saying some shit that was racially charged that maybe you didn't mean because you were angry. Maybe you were drinking. I don't know what you were doing, but either way it came out. All right. I know that maybe his intent maybe wasn't right, but you still said it. So take the accountability, say that you did it. And I don't think he did a good job at the accountability of what he said. He really was just very dismissive. And that's what kind of rubbed me the wrong way, where it's like, all right, Gruden will, like, you said it, own up to it, put yourself in the opposing viewer's position, and just dig deep for a moment and just like say to yourself, was this insensitive? And it was. And it's like, you coach primarily Black players, and we're looking at 70% of the league are Black players. Like, your message is being misconstrued by your words and your actions by not being apologetic and not even wanting to like be like, hey, listen, like, I fucked up. I'm accountable for this, and I'm going to do better to be more in tune with how I word things and just my overall positions on like the way that I feel towards certain things, because I know the world is different now. And that's what really rubbed me the wrong way. And the biggest thing I kind of want to get into is like, there's just say 1,000 emails came from Gruden. All right. 649,000 of them. So you're saying who was on the receiving end? Who else was involved in these conversations? Who else was highlighted? And Dan Snyder, I'm sorry, but Dan Snyder has a big, big hand in this. And this is what I was reading today. And you tell me what you think. I was reading an article today about the reason why Dan Snyder got fined and there's no action taken against him is because he would have the ability not only to have the money to stay in court and continuously battle, but he has the ability to out other NFL owners, which then can create a domino effect and collapse a lot of organizations. And there'd be a huge turnover that would be detrimental to the NFL, including the commissioner. And to me, that makes a lot of sense. Jon Gruden, he was wrong in all the things he said. He's essentially the fall guy in this. So I want to ask, what do you think about that? Because you and I both know we're not going to sit here and be naive and say, yeah, Jon Gruden's the only one who ever said any bad shit. But we know damn well, there's no minorities in ownership,
so
barely in coaching. So
I just got to take it back to like the original statement. So we're talking about 10 years ago, and you brought up something very important, right? 10 years ago, the movements and stuff hadn't been made in a lot of the and I'm not a supporter of this organization, but I'm just saying, like, you and I would grow up in New York City. We've never really grown up racial at all. We've seen everybody equal because that's basically the way that we were raised. This is that, you work hard if you're just a fucking asshole and
yeah, and we're biracial too, so it's like
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're biracial too, so it's like we're Puerto Rican and Italian, but it's
but the thing is a lot of people get it twisted though, because they look at our skin color and they think immediately you're white, so therefore you don't know, like, kind of, the upbringing and like the racial things that were said to you from different ethnicities or whatever. And we're not going to get into that, but I mean, the where I was going with this is that there wasn't the Black Lives Matter movement. There wasn't like the George Floyd, the incidents that had happened like that. There wasn't the equality movement.
Or
there
the
wasn't
LGBTQA.
That's what I'm saying. And I was just about to say that next. There wasn't like there were common derogatory statements that were used 10 years ago that today it is absolutely appalling.
Yeah.
You would immediately get shunned from wherever you're working, whatever you're doing, anywhere. It would be like curtains for you right now.
Yeah.
And the thing is we're bringing something up from 10 years ago. So this is where I was going with that is that, all right, so 10 years ago, horrible shit being said, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, what time it was, still incorrect, right? Because those views are wrong and it's more forefront in society today.
Yeah.
However, yes, he is the fall guy, because there are multiple recipients on those emails. There are multiple people that are going out, CEOs, coaches of other teams, which is why Washington football team has put a statement out now that they want a bigger investigation.
Yeah.
Done. It is going to hit many things. And another thing that you brought up, which, I'm not going to throw this guy under the bus, but we have to bring in a couple of heavy hitters here. What about Jerry Jones? You're going to tell me you're going to go through all of his emails and you're not going to find anything derogatory in there? You're not going to find topless pics of cheerleaders in there when the man literally owns the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, which is the dominant female squad? And you're going to tell me that old man didn't see some titties or have some titties on his desktop and on some emails? It's like, come on, man, get real. Like, be real. Like, you're taking one man down. I feel like this is, like I said at the start of the podcast, of the episode today, is that this is one pillar falling of many around. I feel like this could possibly either get swept under the rug like it has been done before, or this could have a big effect on multiple high-end guys throughout the NFL. And I mean, that was a big reason why a lot of coaching candidates were being called out about why are minority football coaches being identified. And when I say minority, I don't just mean black, because that's not it. It is Hispanic, Asian, females as well is another thing that they've been trying to incorporate. It's all different ethnicities. So to me, to be diverse and have inclusivity of everyone, right? The NFL is actually based on a good old boy system. Yeah. So for you to take one dude down, I feel like they fucked themselves big time. I mean, again, not condoning anything that he did, that Jon Gruden did, because I think it's 100% wrong, and I want that to be known. But the NFL has been and always will be a good old boy system. And we were talking about something before. I'm going to pass it off to you because I don't want to. No. Hog it.
And you're right though, because okay, let's just be 100% real. There are no ethnic owners in the NFL, and I know that's probably going to get some people pissed off. And I know they're all predominantly old white owners. Yeah. And the thing is the NFL is a fraternity at the end of the day. So if you are an older white man who owns a team and all your buddies are all older white men who own teams, and you share some of the same values, even though they're not at the public forefront, you are not going to do anything to potentially hurt your buddy because you know that you will then be ousted. So my take is on this is nothing has been said about Dan Snyder. Okay. We all know that there's some kind of protection going on there. And Jon Gruden, what he did was wrong. And he's just that guy getting all the smoke right now. But like you said, the NFL is going to fuck themselves because at the end of the day, you can't preach equality and accountability and not take any accountability when it comes to you being in the spotlight. Because at the end of the day, one guy didn't do everything wrong. Okay. There was other people on the receiving end of those emails. There was other people that were probably conversing within those other emails. And like you said, I mean, there's some owners that we're skeptical of already. Like, if you're going to start looking at people's emails, then let's lay it all out. If you really are about diversity, inclusion, and you really want to stretch the field, so to say, for an NFL term, and really bring everyone in and just get this huge audience, then you need to be held just as accountable, because it's one of those things where you can't be a hypocrite when you're talking about accountability, diversity, and inclusion. You're either all in or you're not. It's not like, oh, no. We're going to be diverse and inclusive in this specific little area that's this big. And then the rest of the 99%, yeah, you could just carry on how you are. That's not how it works. So I am kind of appalled at the way the NFL is dealing with this. And them saying, oh, the investigation's over. This is all that was found. We know it's bullshit. And I really feel bad because the thing that kind of just like sparks me a little bit, because, you know, if I was a black man in the NFL and I saw the initial comments about Jon Gruden and they were like, oh, you know, it's okay. Well, whatever. Like, you know, we'll probably get like some kind of fine or whatever, maybe some training. But then it's like, then the women and homophobic stuff comes out and then they're like, oh, no. It's like, no, like if you hit one of those pillars on what's included in the diversity and inclusion, then it needs to be equal all around. Like you can't say, oh, well, just because it was against, you know, racial undertones that, oh, no, that wasn't good enough, because then you're kind of backstepping where it's like you're not for actual diversity and inclusion and equality at that point. You're picking and choosing, and that's very, you know, in old school terminology, I guess it's very, you know, segregation like, because then you're not really doing what you're saying that you stand for. So to me, it really pisses me off, man. So what I was going to say was,
I want to correct you on one thing real quick before you go forward.
Go ahead.
Not everybody is all white owners. There are two non-white owners in the NFL.
Yeah, Khan, I forget, Khan for the Jaguars and then somebody else.
Yeah, Shahid Khan, who's the Jacksonville Jaguars.
My apologies
and then
about that.
Kim Pagula of the Buffalo Bills, Asian American.
Well, hey, my apologies. I was unaware of that. So
no, you're absolutely right.
I appreciate you correcting.
I just wanted to correct you on that because those are recent changes, but nonetheless, you are absolutely right. It has been dominated by white males.
And the only one I knew of was you know, Mr. Khan. I don't know how to pronounce his first name, so I'm not even going to try. But yeah, he was the only one that I knew of. So my apologies for being incorrect on that, but thank you for correcting me. So that's the whole thing, is it's like, it just doesn't give us a full scope of the so-called initiative on inclusion and being more equal. It's just kind of what it is. So, I mean, that I need to see more people be impacted, because I know that this was not a one-man show. What the actions that were taken with Jon Gruden were absolutely correct, but this isn't a one-man show. Now, the one thing that I found interesting, and I sent you the link today, was the Jocena Anderson interview that she had on her show. And she actually brought in the old GM of Tampa Bay when Gruden was there and stuff. And he kind of gave his comments on it. And they had a couple other folks on there. Brian Urlacher was on there. There was another guy on there. He was one of the actors from The Woods. There was another brother who was on there who was, I don't know, I really like him. He's a good actor. I think his name is Morris something. I can't think of his last name, and then there was some other guy on there who I wasn't really familiar with. But so KJ Wright was on there for an interview, and Jocena Anderson. Now, I feel like there's always something that, media personalities do where they like to press and press and press to get whatever narrative they're trying to get out.
Absolutely. I feel
the
you.
only thing that I would say is you could tell KJ Wright was giving her 100% honest answers. And because he wasn't giving her the answer that she wanted to hear with whatever the initiative was for that conversation, she kind of kept pushing back on him. And the thing is listen, I'm not a player in the locker room with Jon Gruden. You're not. And KJ Wright answered his questions to the best of his ability with his experience and from what he knew of the situation and what was told. And from what I was told, or from what he told, on the show, was Jon Gruden told them exactly what he said about the racial directed, statement that was made in those emails, right? So he was 100% honest with that. I don't know the other stuff he wasn't aware of, but he knows that there was other stuff in there. Now, the thing, and this is just one reason why I love KJ Wright, is he's a very open-minded, spiritual man. And I always say to myself, if I can't forgive, then I don't need to be in my spirituality as deep as I am, because, the Most High can forgive us no matter what we do wrong. I think if I want to be in that same light, I need to practice exactly what it is that I preach. And the thing is he said, I could pull up my phone, I could pull up your phone, I could pull up emails that are in private conversations.
I love this. I love this statement.
And there are things that we have said that we would not say in the public eye. And does that mean that we are specifically tied into this certain group? No. And I respected that, because that is a true statement, because I know that I've said stuff, that I was like kind of pissed off about it. I went back and I'm like, damn, but don't get me wrong though. I definitely did go back and I was like, hey, listen, like, I know we had this conversation and I said this, like, that wasn't cool. And I need to be accountable for that, because I'm just big on accountability with what I say, because I know it's like, I could have hurt somebody's feelings and not even known it, because I know that I'm naturally like a more aggressive talker and like very blunt with people. So I know that, like, when I say things, I really need to digest, like, damn, what did I say? Like, did I say that shit the wrong way? Or did I say something that could have hit like something that would trigger somebody? So I just like what he said. And it was just funny, because he called her out and he said, listen, everyone has done that. And if you're going to sit here and tell me you haven't, it's a lie. And she kind of brushed it off as to say like, oh, well, I've never done that. And I just don't believe that. And I just want to hear your take on that before I move to the next point.
Yeah, I mean, I thought so. A couple of the guys who were on that, Josh Norman, Maurice Chestnut, and Brian Urlacher, those are the guys who were on that podcast with her. So
I don't think he was on there though tonight. Josh Norman wasn't.
No, he wasn't. But Maurice Chestnut was the other dude who was on there.
Yeah, Maurice Chestnut. Sorry, I don't know why I said Morris. My bad.
No, because it's spelled Morris. That's why.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my bad.
But here's the thing: is that you're absolutely right. The way that the direction of the interview was going, and this is even something that I texted you about, was she definitely was trying to push him into a direction to say something.
Yeah.
And he very much stood his ground and was in his very sure of himself, knew exactly the point where he was going.
Mm-hmm.
And he even brought up the fact of how she raises her kids and he raises his kids.
Exactly.
And he was just like, look, what we do behind closed doors and how I raise my kids and how I talk and how you talk to your kids and you raise your kids is what you do behind closed doors. That's not something that you're going to say to somebody's face. Mm-hmm. And that's like the realest shit like that you could ever say, is because people will dress up their language and their communication. Mm-hmm. It's very, very rare that you will see somebody who you will be able to absolutely get 100%
authenticity.
Authenticity. Thank you. At all times.
Yeah.
It's very rare. And I mean, I like to think that I'm that way, where I'm authentic at all times. But here's the thing is that there are certain things that you know for a fact that you do not bring up in social settings, because you know that it is like a match in a kerosene-soaked room.
Yeah.
You don't do it. You don't talk about politics. You don't talk about religion. You know, you stay away from certain topics, right?
Yeah.
And he was just very matter of fact about his answers. He was very good. I felt like he conducted himself. And the one thing that I really loved about the whole thing is that he stuck true to himself and he was very genuine. I like the fact that he said that everybody is who they are, and everybody, at the end of the day, everybody comes in and they come in to work and get the job done. And he is a football player and he puts his football helmet on. He comes into work and he does that. And then he knows that once everybody leaves that facility, that yes, that is his family, but they're going to conduct themselves in a different way in a different audience. So I thought that was really important in that. And he really it was really good. Like KJ Wright really spoke very well. And actually his message was really powerful.
Yeah, and I just like that he's a spiritual dude, because that's kind of what's helped me, because, you know, I've had angry moments where I just like have cussed people out and just have called them names, like, not like anything like to their specific group, but just like being an asshole and just like, you're a fucking piece of shit or something like that, or you're a fucking asshole, you know? And it's like, that's not cool, you know what I'm saying? But I never like dig deep to where like I want to strike a nerve. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm perfect, because I'm not. But at the same time, like, you have to be conscious of where you're going with your words as well, because there are some things that, you know, especially in the Latino community, bro, like I've had racism against me because I don't speak Spanish, you know what I'm saying? And and I got light skin. So it's like, you know, I mean, it's big amongst, you know, within certain racial groups. And that's just the reality of it all. And I know it's different when somebody from the outside says something. And I know the thing is the message is being portrayed poorly if there was no action taken, which I 100% agree with the action taken. But let's not act like there's not other things going on around the NFL that are just being kind of overlooked, because it is. Like, that's just the realest shit I could say.
Like, I mean, let's not forget that 32 teams passed on Colin Kaepernick. 32 teams.
Exactly.
Okay?
And it's crazy teams, because when I put that out,
32 owners, 32 coaches. It's like, so don't tell me that it's Jon Gruden. Okay? Don't tell me that it's Jon Gruden. It's
and the thing is too, is like, what cracked me up too, and just to kind of quickly touch on that, is like, you know, I was in the Army, you're in the Navy right now. The thing that I loved about Colin Kaepernick, as much as people could blow me up about saying this, is Colin Kaepernick actually took the time to meet with a Green Beret and ask him, like, hey, how do I like protest, since it was disrespectful of me sitting down during the anthem? How do I respectfully protest so I could still get my message out there? To me, that tells me somebody who's conscious, that he wants to get his message across, but he's not trying to literally blatantly spit in the face of other people and disrespect them, especially since, you know, military folks do fight for the country for freedom in order for people to speak out against what's going on, which at that time was police brutality, which still goes on today. And he met with this Green Beret and they had a conversation about what would be the best way to approach it. And he did that, and people still brought him through the fire. And it's like, I don't know how much more you can do to respectfully protest something that's going on in your community. And it's just one of those things where it's like, some people will just, no matter what, no matter how well you are about, you know, your initiative to bring awareness to an injustice, people will just bring you through the flames. And I think that's what happened with Colin Kaepernick, which it's that old mentality of like forward, like when you're not an open-minded person with forward thinking to make things better, and you're stuck in these ancient times and archaic times, it's like, you're never going to get change that you want to make it a better environment. And that's the thing that's been unfortunate with Colin Kaepernick, because he was a good talent, bro. And like, it pisses me off because people still, like, I see them in the comments still, and especially in Raider posts, and I don't care because I'll call them out. They still call out, you know, that shit. When he literally has an interview of him and the Green Berets sitting down and being like, I don't want to disrespect you guys because you fight for the country, you know, so we can protest this in a respectful manner because there is injustice to my community. And people are still like going crazy. And it's like, bro, where is your mind at that you cannot progressively think and like fight for a better tomorrow? You know what I'm saying? It just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me. But what's your final thoughts about what's next after this Jon Gruden fiasco, right? Because I want to move on to the game. What's next? So Jon Gruden was the center point of this issue right now, but we know there's more. What do you see happening next?
I mean, I really.
And what do you want to happen next too? Because
Well,
I want to hear that.
I mean, I really see personally, and this is what I believe. I think you're going to see a lot more chips fall because I don't think that you let this go. I don't think that there are certain people, there are certain names that are going to come across on certain emails that are going to be investigated as well, that they're not going to have to give theirs up, and then that's going to incriminate other people. I personally think that, like I said, this is not the first chip to fall. I think that there's a lot more to come. And in addition to that, either they already opened Pandora's box with Jon Gruden. I think that there's no turning back now at this point in time. You know, the thing that you feel bad about the guy is because ultimately he was a great football mind. He was a good commentator. He'll probably never coach again. And even though that they're like, oh, it's okay. Oh, he just needs a timeout. Like they're not going to allow that to happen. An organization is not going to take a chance on him. A sports network is not going to take a chance on him unless it's somebody like Barstool that might try and get him in because he can't get hired by anybody else. If Barstool gets big enough, they're one of those type of people who bring guys on like that. But I mean, other than that, I honestly just can think that it's going to just more is going to happen. There's going to be more names. There's going to be more suspensions. I mean, there's going to be a lot. And I mean,
there has to be. There has to be.
This is not what the NFL needed the year after having a pandemic season with 0 fans and having you're literally dragging the name of the NFL and destroying the sanctity of the sport that people go for entertainment to escape the day-to-day of bullshit of life. Now you're bringing it into the sport where now you're going to turn more people off. I mean, that's honestly.
And it brings people together, man. You know, it allows you to engage with maybe some people that you would never see, you know, because you share a common interest.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be a good like place. And they talk about this family fun environment. It's like, well, show us that that's what you want. Show us by holding those accountable for the so-called actions that you know are horrible and detrimental to people, not only their welfare, but just their ability just to grow outside of their box that they've been put in. So this way we can move on in unity, man. Like, I don't mean to sound like this, like, oh, preach or anything like that, but it's like, if this is your message, stand by it, be accountable along the way as well, because you're not doing yourself a favor being a hypocrite, being like, oh yeah, we got this one racist coach and he said some fucked up stuff, but you know, the rest of us are all perfect. That's a lie. It's just a bald-faced lie. So my whole thing is, man, there's so many more emails to go through, and I really think there's something bigger. Brian Urlacher mentioned it on that Jocena show. He's like, man, there's got to be something more. And he's like, the way the NFL operates, they know what's already there. They just do stuff to get out in front of stuff, so they already have a reaction once it comes out to save face. Because if you think Roger Goodell and those owners don't know what's in all those emails, you are sadly mistaken. And I love what the lawyers put out, because they are demanding that this be put out. And they were literally outraged that there's only one person who's literally getting taken out for after 40 employees, right, from the Washington football team had come out and talked about the toxic work environment and just the toxic place that they were working in. So it's like, man, do the right thing.
That's what I say. It's
do the right thing. So let's get into this game real quick. Oh, shit.
I mean, is there really much to get into with how fucking piss poor they played?
Well, I mean, hey, listen, you know, the Bears game, you could obviously see that there was something on their mind, but hey, at the end of the day, so with the news coming down, Rich Bisaccia is going to be the interim coach.
Yes, sir.
We got to talk about the positives here, okay? Because I'm not it's not that I'm tired of talking about it. It's just I want to uplift the mood because there's been so much stuff coming down. And shouts out to all the Raidernation, man, and all the Raiders fans because we've been through so damn much over the years, man. I just feel like we need some positivity. We need some good momentum. So at this point in time, Rich Bisaccia is going to be the interim coach. We have Mike Mayock, who's taken over GM, and pretty much the power that was forfeited by Jon Gruden with him exiting and resigning. And along with that, Greg Olson's going to be the offensive coordinator come Sunday. Good news is Greg Olson was the offensive coordinator with Derek Carr previously. I think I was dating all the way back to 2014, which is kind of cool. Rich Bisaccia has been in the league for 38 years. He's been an assistant coach for a couple of successful organizations. So he's been in that role. And now he's getting his kind of audition, so to say, for a head coaching gig. And let's just call it what it is, man. Jon Gruden, as good as he was, he did limit this football team. So I'm excited to see with the power gone from Jon Gruden, I'm excited to see what individual contributions and different facets of the game are going to be. Because I can tell you, Rich Bisaccia, the first move today, he got Kyle Sloter out. I think that's how you say his name. It was the third. Yep. It was like the third quarterback. Marcus Mariota's coming back. We got some other guys coming back from the IR. And as far as the injury report, the only one that I know of is Jonathan Hankins with that back injury that is kind of being monitored, which, today is Tuesday, October 12th. So when the injury report comes out and Rich Bisaccia addresses everyone on the Wednesday, the 13th, we'll know a little bit more. But at this point in time, we are traveling to Denver, taking on the Denver Broncos. I just want to know what your take is on what do you need to see first? And actually, before that, let me do this here. Let me go over, let's see here. The over-under for this game is going to be 45 points, okay? Denver Broncos are scheduled to be 3.5-point favorites at the matchup at Mile High on Sunday, starting at 125. And we are underdogs going into this game, which, you know why. Right? We got 2 straight losses. We're coming off a bad loss to Chicago where we couldn't really produce. The offensive line was kind of, not really doing the best with that guard switch of Alex Leatherwood going to guard, Brandon Parker being a right tackle. So what do you expect them to see in this matchup just as a whole? And then we'll kind of break it down offensively and defensively. And give me your point totals. Give me your total points.
I haven't even started to think about it. I thought we were going to wrap on this week's game. Let me take a look real quick.
Oh, yeah. So let's wrap on this week's game. So my apologies, man. I'm kind of thinking on to the next game already, but
it's a good mindset to be in. I'll touch base with you real quick. I think the reason why we're the underdogs is because of the performance that we had this week, which we're about to talk about, right? Yeah. I think that Denver's been in it a little bit longer. I think that they've hung tougher. Some of the losses haven't been as ugly as like this week's Raiders loss has been. I'm going to say that. And in addition to that, to bring into what you were saying, a new head coaching change, you're going to have to kind of figure things out. New offensive coordinator, different play calling, personnel being moved around. You have a lot of moving parts. It's going to be difficult to pull off a dub. It's going to be very difficult, and I'm not going to bullshit you. Yeah. But it is possible, and it's a team effort on how they're going to do that. But getting into what we were talking about with last week's with the Bears, the 20-9. I'm going to tell you right now, the thing that comes to the forefront of my mind is the first 3 quarters you don't put a touchdown up. Your offense is playing lackluster. Yeah. Again, it just seemed like there was no rhythm there. They were disrupting the offensive line. It was really tough for me to really for them to play error-free ball and for Derek Carr to get in that rhythm that he normally gets in when we put together those 3 wins. Mm-hmm. That wasn't there today. And then in addition to that, the defense was gassed. If your offense ain't performing, your defense is on the field. 70% of the game, dude. That's not going to do it. Any defense is going to get smoked. So
Yeah, no, I feel you. And just to let everyone know, we pretty much do all this freestyle. So my apologies about moving on to Denver already. That's kind of my mindset, man, just where everything's really been at. But I definitely want to dive into, the Bears game. And just to let you know, we'll be covering the Broncos game next week. Later this week for the upcoming pregame show where we travel to Denver and take on the Broncos. But as it stands right now, with the Bears game, I mean, there were some things that I saw that we did well. There were some things that we did not so well. And the biggest thing is, we got that 3 points in the first quarter. The things that we didn't do really well were these penalties, man. We got to stop committing these penalties. And a lot of them were on defense. It's literally dumb defensive penalties. And then the offensive line having these plays called back where we score, we have a big play, and it's like, come on, guys, like this is just undisciplined football. And I think at that time, like we're saying, when the initial reports came out about Jon Gruden and his email and just the noise of that, as much as the players try to stay focused, man, it does weigh on them. They're human beings at the end of the day, and going into this game, it's just one of those things where they got beat by an average coach, a rookie quarterback, and a not so good offensive line. So that kind of tells you everything right there. And, let's talk about the offense for the Raiders, man. They gave up 3 sacks and let's see here, and 1 interception, man. So you can't win games like that. When you're getting that pressure on the quarterback, and the drop balls were horrendous. Oh my God, they were horrendous. I mean, when you talk about, Brian Edwards being wide open, missing the ball. And, along with others that were just not catching the ball. We had no running game going on. And I just want to ask you, man, like, how worried are you about this offensive line?
I got to be, I mean, there are a lot of weapons that you're not using, okay? You're not using them. Josh Jacobs, I'd like to see more of a dual backfield with Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake. You have options out of the backfield, right?
It's like a split back almost.
Yeah, exactly. You need options in this offense where if you clearly see that the offense is backed up, number one, it's going to start with Derek Carr. Let me take it from the top. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm like getting worked up. I apologize. Derek Carr needs to be smarter, okay? There was a confidence in him when they were 3-0, bar none. He was rolling. He felt great. Anybody who watched any post-game interview could tell you there was a swagger about this man. You watch the first quarter of last game against the Bears, gone, obsolete. Seems like it was years ago that he had that.
Yeah.
His confidence isn't there. The play calling, like you said, and I don't want to get back into it, but here's something that I want to interject in your brain here, okay? Was Gruden calling fucked up plays because he couldn't think clearly?
Dude,
I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that, but I don't want to make excuses, but I mean, you have a game plan, you prepare, you watch film, you know what to expect. You have a rookie quarterback on the other side of the ball, okay?
And an at best average head coach. At best average head coach.
I mean, they have been calling for Matt Nagy's head since the first game. They have wanted him out. I've seen the Twitter feeds in the last 2 days where they're like, oh, well, they were like, it was like a picture of I think it was 2 Chainz, where he's in the booth and he's looking for something, and it's he's all like investigating. It's like, oh, the Bears looking for stuff on Matt Nagy now. So it's I mean, for me, this should have been a slam dunk where they should have won this game, and instead,
prove me and you wrong, right?
Yeah, I mean the offense, dude. I think this is the worst I've seen the offense play this year. It was no rhythm, no confidence. Yeah. And even you were getting upset from the first series where you're just like, Derek Carr's back to his old self, overthrowing plays, not gelling at all. I mean, I mean, there were a couple of balls that were directly in dude's hands that they just were like blatantly.
Darren
dropped.
Waller was dropping, bro. You know, the overthrow on Hunter Renfrow on the first series, like,
yep.
Derek Carr, for whatever reason, and I have to say that it's about what's going on with Gruden. Well, what was going on with Gruden, because he's gone now. But I have to say that because it was so heavy on everyone's mind that it's like, from the play calling down to the players, you have something on the top of everyone's mind. And to be honest with you, I don't really like Jon Gruden's play calling. Like, I like it about maybe 50% of the time, because he's predictable on third and fourth downs. And I feel like the majority of his first downs, he's always going to run the ball, which is dumb because it's a new league. So you always have to keep your opponent on their feet, you know, on their toes. So the thing is it's like, the play calling was terrible. Jon Gruden probably knew it was going to be his last game coaching, because he had to have known what was in those fucking emails, man. Like,
yeah.
How do you not, bro? When you have shit like that out, it's like, how do you not know? Then on top of that, you have a team that's not only are they young, I think we're the 7th youngest team, if I'm not mistaken. They got jitters, bro. You got Alex Leatherwood starting his first game at guard in the NFL, and then Brandon Parker starting the first game this season. Now, he's been on the team for 3 years, but let's talk about it. He was the lowest graded tackle this week, so he picked up right where Alex Leatherwood left off. So I mean, and there was a play where I saw like the guards blocked each other, and I'm just like, do you guys know what your assignments are out there? And you could just tell people's heads weren't in it. And I'll chalk it up to that because I really want to see a bounce back game against the Broncos. But as it stands right now, a lot of overthrowing, a lot of missed catches, a lot of just players out of sync with themselves. The rhythm of the offense just wasn't there. And it's got to pick up, man. And I'm all for a split back. Like, the thing that I don't understand too is why are we not using Alec Ingold as our lead blocker too? Like, you have these formations where Alex Ingold is a good blocker. He blocks great for Josh Jacobs, but we're not seeing that, you know? And when you're getting like a speed formation, why aren't you having Drake and Jacobs in the back, or now Jalen Richard and Jacobs? You know, it's just like, it was embarrassing, bro. I'm not going to lie. It was embarrassing.
And it wasn't a great effort at all.
And the fact of how good the defense played, even though they gave up some big drives because of the penalties, it's like, why can't you help out the other side of the ball when you know your defense is out there giving a dog-ass effort, doing as much as they can, and they're gassed? You can tell that they're getting tired, but yet you're still making dumb mistakes being undisciplined.
Now, even though he made a couple of boneheaded mistakes on there, and there's one that I thought was questionable, Yannick Ngakoue played out of his fucking mind.
Did I not say that?
I didn't. Yeah, but the one thing that I don't understand is the roughing the passer.
I think it's just him trying to send a message, bro. Like, hey,
I mean, it was.
You know
he's trying to shake up this rookie, and I mean, he tripped him. He tripped. He was the one who drove Justin Fields out of the game, because he grabbed him by his leg because he was trying to escape him, and he tripped him up. Yep. Yeah. He landed awkwardly on his ankle. So, I mean, yeah, kudos to you, man. I need to give you your props because Yannick had a fucking great game. You know, I mean, really,
I was happy about. I was like, man, I called Yannick.
I mean, Yannick really had a great game, but you know, just getting into, you know, just a preview of the next show, right? The one thing that worries me, and I'm going to tell you this, is the offense, and this is like interlinked, right? The offense did not gel well together at all, and I'm in the same mindset as you, where I want to see this roll. Just leave this in the past. We're moving forward. This is a new week, right? And this is a vital game to me, because if you go 4-2 and you beat the Broncos, you're right back on path, bro. You're fine.
That's what I'm saying.
You're fine. But I will say one thing. Rick Bisaccia, right?
Yeah. Rich Bisaccia.
Right? Rich, same deal, right? Dude's only been a special teams guy. Now, I know that you have Greg Olson. He's going to be calling your play call for you. I get it, okay? And I looked it up while you were talking. I checked his bio. I looked up everything. He's been in the league multiple times. He's been on multiple championship teams because of his special teams. But bro, here's the thing. Like, we need a good captain of the ship right now.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
he was
You
an
need-
assistant head coach though as well for the San Diego Chargers and the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Dallas Cowboys. So I mean, he's been an assistant head coach. So yes, he was a special teams coach, but he knows what it looks like, and he's been in the thick of it. So
okay.
I'm not going to discredit somebody who's been around the league for 38 years. Okay, the thing is he knows the personnel. Everyone who's still going to be on their duties is going to be able to do their same assignment. So Gus Bradley, we're still going to see that good defense. The thing that worries me is the run defense. We need to do something to stop that run defense, or to stop the rush game for opposing offenses, because our run defense is terrible and our run game is terrible on the offensive side. Let me throw some numbers out here for you. Josh Jacobs, 15 attempts, 48 yards with a 3.2 average. Yeah, he had a touchdown. That's great. Kenyon Drake, 2 carries for 11 yards. 2 carries. Derek Carr, 3 carries for 10 yards. And Nathan Peterman got us 2 crucial yards that got us fucking first down when Derek Carr went out. And that's the thing that worries me, okay? So when you look at the offensive line, right, I understand that there's been a little shakeup, and that's the big thing I want Rich Bisaccia to really get an initiative on, is going around the league and seeing how we can improve this offensive line. Because if we do that, we are right in the thick of making that playoff run, because we have the personnel to do that. It's just solidifying that offensive line. We can't afford to have Derek Carr go out when Marcus Mariota isn't even back yet officially. And he got injured on the first play that he was back. So it's like, I don't want Nathan Peterman leading this team. Not especially after everything that's gone down. Like, we need Derek Carr, and a healthy Derek Carr. And with that offensive line, they need to get right. I mean, at the end of the day, because, bro, so Hunter Renfrow had the most yards on offense, 6 receptions for 56 yards. Henry Ruggs, 3 for 51. And Darren Waller, 4 for 45. Brian Edwards had 2 for 22. Josh Jacobs had a couple catches out of the backfield for 4 catches, 19 yards. Otherwise, it's 1 catch for Zay, 1 catch for Jalen, and 1 catch for Willie Snead. Kenyon Drake, 0. Absolutely 0. So my thinking with Greg Olson being the new offensive coordinator is, I believe that those things that Jon Gruden were doing in this game, he is going to completely scratch out, because he's seen them repeatedly be unsuccessful, right?
Yes.
So my question to you is, other than the offensive line, what do you need to see out of this offense, primarily Derek Carr, in order for us to get back on the horse with what happened in Chicago's game?
The weeks 1, 2, and 3, where we went 3-0, there was ball distribution to all avenues. You weren't targeting one specific person. Mm-hmm. Actually, I digress. Let me take that back.
Taking back
we
to
went
week
we
one,
went hard for Waller, like week 1, right? However, when you dominated in weeks 2 and week 3, you were evenly distributing the ball and you were getting everyone involved. Mm-hmm. The last 2 losses, Henry Ruggs has been gone. Brian Edwards gone. What are you doing? Like, you had a recipe for success that you got away from. Go back to it.
Exactly.
Okay. And that's what I was saying. Implement more weapons. You have Renfrow, you have Waller. Target Zay Jones a little more. Throw the ball to Kenyon Drake out of the backfield. Get him 3-4 yards. Get them thinking that you're going to utilize other weapons instead of utilizing your same bell cows all the time. Because if I look at the same people all the time, I'm going to control you offensively, which happened last game.
And remember what I said? Predictive play calling, right?
Yep.
So
for me,
it's just like, come on, man.
He falls in love with certain guys where, if we get him going, then it opens up the rest of the offense. No, asshole. if they're covering him, you go elsewhere to see who's got the hot hand, man. That's what most coaches do, is they play the hot hand. Hey, you don't have it today. We're riding with you because you got it today. All right.
We saw it the other
That's what I
night
mean.
with Emmanuel Sanders on the Bills, bro.
Oh, I loved it.
He literally ended up getting them a touchdown on that drive. And it's like, that can happen with us because we have players that are that and better. So it's like, come on. Like,
yes.
But so I gotta ask though, man, because I know we spent a lot of time with like talking about Gruden, man. Like,
yeah.
You know how I feel about it, and I'll reiterate. I'm happy that Gruden's gone for the sole purpose of we are gonna have different play calling, which can result in better play calling. Because he's predictable. What do you think the positive is with Gruden gone with this offense? Because the personnel is not changing.
I think you really highlighted it very well. I think that you said that his play calling is predictable. From an outsider, looking in for special teams and whatnot, I think the new approach from a different regime will yield different results. You already know what didn't work. Now let's go with a different approach to see what is possible, what could work.
Yeah.
You have a man who's come in who has had success, Tampa Bay, San Diego, Dallas.
Yeah.
Right? So you've had a man who's been in different organizations that have been proven winners. You're absolutely right. And you highlighting it, like, he knows what works and what doesn't. Let's go and let's give him the opportunity to see if he could turn the thing around and really put us in a position where we can get back on track, get back on a winning streak, because this team is built to win. It's not a scrub team. It's not in a rebuild. It's not sell off. This is a team that's built to compete right now. And I think given the best game plan that he can formulate, really could turn things around and get Raidernation behind them. And this could just be a thing of the past that they're talking about this week and the week before, while we're making our epic run to the Super Bowl. And it's like, hey, back in, how they always highlight the difficult things, this could be one of those moments.
I think we could still achieve 10 wins. I think that's still achievable.
Easily.
If Olsen finds his groove in this next game, because the play calling in the Bears game is just hard. Like, granted, our offensive line and our wide receivers pretty much threw that game because of the fact that, one, the wide receivers couldn't catch, and two, offensive line, even though they actually did a pretty good job, like towards the second half, and they put us in positions, it was just stupid, drops that really just kept us out of the game. And I think with Olsen knowing Derek Carr, I think he gives him more reins to make those play calls. I think it could turn out to be a very good thing. Now, I'm not going to say we're going to be like, oh, we're going to be this fantastic superstar team, we're going to blow everyone out and all this. No, but I think something different can turn into a lot of positive for us, especially with how the team is right now. Now, I want to flip it over to the defensive side, because you were talking about Yannick Ngakoue, right? That was the guy I said who was going to have a good game. He had 2 sacks. Those were the only sacks, right, that we had. Bro, what's going on with Max? Is he just getting held all the time? He still has the pressures, but he gets held a lot. Is that not right?
The last 2 games, it's been blatantly obvious, and we're not getting penalties called for Mad Max. It's ridiculous. There are images of him actually freeze frame of him getting choked, and there's no fucking flags thrown.
I know.
It's like, it's blatantly obvious.
I feel bad for him, man, because, he's a productive pass rusher, but he doesn't have a big name like status in the NFL, so he's not going to get calls. So he has to play through it. So it's one of those things where it's like, if that's what you're going to do, why don't you start blitzing somebody on his side with him? Because it's going to be one or the other. Like, they're not going to get both guys with how relentless Max's pass rush is. If you start blitzing, say, a Corey Littleton, just for example, you start blitzing a Corey Littleton on Max's side, one of them are going to get home, because Max Crosby's not a small dude. He's a long dude. That's why they call him the Condor, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, you got to start, like, that's the thing with Gus's play calling, that it kind of does rub me a little bit the wrong way because it's too conservative when he needs to kind of amp it up a little bit. And,
Yes.
the defense didn't play bad. Like, they gave up 20 points. If you have the offenses that have been playing in the AFC West, right, every week, like what their average is, we're winning this game. Am I not right?
No, you're absolutely right. And I want to go back real quick. There was a name you touched on that I said before week 1.
Corey Littleton. He's been playing
another great game. I mean, I'm sorry, dude.
He's been making me happy because he's been consistent, and that's the big thing we haven't seen from Corey Littleton. Now, one person that I was a little disappointed on the last 2 games, I haven't seen him show up much, is Quentin Jefferson. And you know what? Something I got to bring up, man, is Amick Robertson actually did play good, but there were moments.
Great. Yeah.
But there were moments that we really needed him to step up. That he got beat.
He had a couple of boneheaded plays as well, if I'm not mistaken. He got penalized a few times.
Yeah. So him and Kwiatkowski, man, like, did you see that play? I think it was like 3rd and 17 or something, right? They're all dropped back right into like the zone of where that first down marker is. Kwiatkowski literally lets the guy catch the ball over the middle with 1 yard over the first down marker. So it's an 18-yard pass. And I'm just like, this is exactly why we need Nick Morrow back, because Morrow is a great defender in those situations. And it's just like, come on, like, you have everything in front of you.
I think a lot of the strength that we had in the first 3 weeks with some key injuries really has taken its toll, as minimal as they seem. And as much as, hey, let's plug this guy in and he is doing a decent enough job.
Yeah.
The chemistry that these guys created during minicamp and in the preseason, that does go a long way. So for me, I'll give you an example. If you and I if we play next to each other all the time, mm-hmm. and we're used to communicating, and I'm comfortable because I know for a fact that you're my man and you're going to do your job on your side of the ball, and I'm going to do my job on my side of the ball, we have that connection. And mm-hmm. if not, if you're getting beat, you're going to call over to me and I got you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is, you can have a guy who could play a position great, but that chemistry, that camaraderie, that feeding off one another, I feel like that's where the Raiders are falling short right now, mm-hmm. is that you're plugging guys in and it's affecting the way that the team plays cohesively, because certain guys who have practiced as a full unit are out. Now, mm-hmm. the good thing is that hopefully we get some of these guys back sooner rather than later, right? Which is good.
Trayvon Mullen, man.
We have guys who have stepped in and played well,
mm-hmm.
but Trayvon Mullen's in there. You're not getting some of these boneheaded mistakes. You're not giving up first downs because you're pass interference or you're holding. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just
you're getting more pass breakups because one, he's a big corner. He's 6'2", 6'3", and Amick Robertson is 5'8". So, I mean, you got like, a 7-inch, 6-inch swing right there, from one to the other. And like, I'm not going to say he played bad because he hasn't started. That was his first start. There were moments where he looked really good, but there were moments that he didn't look so great. So it's just like you said, building that chemistry is big, especially in that secondary, because Casey Hayward, we know, is going to kind of quarterback that secondary. And then you have Amick on the other side with Abram and Nate Hobbs, playing closer to the line. So it's like, because you have Abrams playing strong safety and then Hobbs playing slot corner and then, Merrick in the back. So it's like, you're right. That whole dynamic kind of changes a little bit because they don't know the tendencies of Amick Robertson. So
I just think that as you get guys back, you're going to have the new coaching change.
Yeah.
You're going to have a different I don't want to say that the way that the Raiders lost this week had anything to do with it, because if you listen to the KJ Wright interview with Jocena Anderson, he says it absolutely had nothing to do with it. But I do feel like certain distractions and certain things looming over them can play on what they might appear as. Yeah. I feel like with the resignation of Jon Gruden and now the way that they're preparing for this game, knowing that it's going to be a division rival and that now they have a certain outlook and a certain determination, a certain focus of all this was bullshit and it's not us who's on it. Let's move forward. Let's capture this victory.
And it was never
Denver. It would never was them. But here's the thing is that
in the words of Jersey Jerry, it was never them.
Yo, so like here's the thing is that Jon Gruden is the face of the Raiders as a coach.
No more though. Okay? No more.
No, now but that's what I'm saying is
that now, for themselves.
That's what I'm saying is now this week, it's like we have our identity. Exactly. This is for us. Let's get this dub for all of us and end it. Let's cut that shit. Leave it in the past. Move forward. Like I said, I hope we get new play calling. I hope the play calling's great this week. I hope the defense has a great week. I hope we get some rest on some injuries and we come out and we're ready to play. Because for me, this is a very key game. I think this is one of the biggest games of the year.
And I think one thing, too, that's actually beneficial with Gruden out, and I don't know, people can take it kind of how they want. And, you know, just again, big shouts out to Raidernation for the continued support on the channel because, you know, I know especially during times like this, it's like you always want to know who's going to step up, right? And I feel like the biggest thing that we have as a plus is Ron Miles and Gus Bradley being there to kind of help bolster the message by Rich Bisaccia and put in the trust in those guys. Because yes, they were Gruden's guys, but you know, I don't know exactly how much they were involved in that stuff because this was happening back with Bruce Allen, you know, back when he was a reporter, and I'm not certain that they knew about that. So they can only judge the people that are in front of them by the way that they're treated and how kind of they prepare and how, you know, each day is with them as the player coach interaction. So I want to go as far as to say is it's actually a positive with Bisaccia having Gus Bradley and Ron Miles to reiterate the message and what needs to happen moving forward, because let's talk about it. The defense has been the strength of that team. It's the offense that's needed to elevate themselves these last two games. So what do you think about that? How much of an impact do you think Gus Bradley and Ron Miles are going to have kind of putting forth that message that Bisaccia puts out? Because Bisaccia has a lot of respect, you know, amongst players. So I just want to know, like, what kind of
it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting because this is a just win game. Okay. And I say just win because, I mean, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
So my major thing is that should be the overall message for this week. I really think that's what it's going to be. I think there's a lot of people who have a lot of things to prove, players, coaches, personnel. There's a lot of dignity that needs to be brought back to the organization. As much as dysfunctional as some of the other NFL teams think that the Raiders are, with the fans just being fucking absolute lunatics and just having passion pouring out of every orifice of their bodies.
And beating each other up.
Yeah, and beating the shit out of each other. The thing is that this is a loyal fan base that really deserves the best. And that's why I just think that I think that there's going to be really positive vibes this week coming out. Game's at 125, right? I'm really looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, I'm going to my boy's Raider bar this week, man. He has a bar that he kind of converted into a Raider bar in Old Town Scottsdale. So
nice, man.
Looking forward to that shit. I'm going to bring the lady out, you know. And
I'm going to be over at my buddy Aaron's house, so we'll be over there watching the game in the pool and just enjoying and doing big things, man.
And the thing is like you said, it's almost like, okay, the Bears game wasn't great, but you had a distraction. And within that time frame of the game, to what was it yesterday when it happened, right? Monday. They've
Yeah.
like the action has been taken to remove that distraction and that, I don't want to say cancer, but the poison within the organization of maybe the question marks that maybe some players might have, or as to, am I in the right organization, right? Because I know people give Mark Davis a lot of shit, and let's just talk about Al Davis for a second, because it was the anniversary of Al Davis, recently. He was a big proponent in diversity, inclusive culture. You have Amy Trask as like the first woman, I think, within the organization, in the high stature she had. Art Shell was, the first Black coach that they had, man. And that's what the Raiders stand for. You know what I'm saying, man? Like, they're just a very forward moving, progressive organization that's really dynamic and inclusive, and just really has like the best when it comes to being just really all around solid group. And that's kind of the big things that I love being part of Raider Nation. That's why I hate when there's hate spewed out so much, where it's like, yo, we're all here for the same reason, man. And like, we want to make sure that this organization is just ran the right way, has the right people in it. And the players, the young players that we brought in are ballers, man. Like, our young core that we have is great. So it's like, let's get the right people and the right energy with the right mindsets around them, and reinstill into them, like, this is the right organization for you. Let's come together and let's use this as not something to separate and break apart, but something to unify each other and show them, like, yo, this is the new Raiders. This is the Las Vegas Raiders right here, man. And I just really, my heart goes out to all the players, and just, everyone in the organization who's just kind of feeling some type of way. And I really hope that moving forward, this kind of unifies them and brings them together. And we have a good push in the rest of the season, because I think now with Jon Gruden now, man, we could kind of take a sigh of relief, where it's like, hey, there's more, the power has been redistributed evenly. Now let's see what we can do with this organization.
I agree.
So, you got any last thoughts, man, before we wrap things up here?
No, man, I'm really excited about doing next podcast and next episode, I should say. We need a lot of support, a lot of unity during this time. Things Absolutely, are really difficult, but I mean, I really look forward to this next game, because for me, I feel like it's make or break.
Yeah. Again, everyone on Twitter, I got my tag here right in the bottom corner here. If I could point right like there. Right there. That's mine. Yours is on the other side.
Oh, this way?
Yeah, right there. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter. Like I said, as we progress, we want to do more, to be more involved in the community and Raider Nation. Again, we're just two Puerto Rican brothers who love the Raiders, man, and we just want to be involved as much as we can. And, I like to jump into these Twitter spaces. I kind of just started doing it just because I like to feel things out before I end up doing it. But please like, share, and subscribe, and continue to show your support. We didn't have many views on the last one, but I think it was kind of a little sloppy, because we just kind of weren't in the right mindset. And, it is what it is. But hey, man, as every episode we have coming out, we definitely want to make sure you guys get the most out of it and just sit here and chop it up. Again, we freestyle all this stuff. We don't really have notes and structure and everything like that, because we want it to be authentic and genuine. And next week is going to be my brother's last week of like doing shows till he takes like a week break, because he's going to be going to New York. So I'll actually have someone on who's another Raider fan in place. Our boy Rick, and he's another military guy, man. And I'll try to do something a little bit special, during that time frame. But we really do love you, Raider Nation, man. Please stay strong during these times. Let's use this moment to kind of unify as one, and just keep building each other up, man, and just be happy the poison's gone from the organization, man. And let's keep pushing forward, So thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Rican Brothers Raidernation podcast. We out.